Hey there guys, we're taking a look at Need for Speed Unbound running on the AMD Ryzen 5 5600H. Now the game we're looking at currently right now is running at the lowest in-game graphics settings, and we are using FSR 2.0 set to the performance preset. Now with these specific settings, we're looking at pretty much a slightly above 30 FPS throughout most of the gaming experience, but our 1% lows are consistently falling underneath the 30 FPS threshold, which is unfortunate to see, but it's not falling down to a range where I felt was completely unplayable. It just wasn't exactly the greatest experience ever, but it wasn't enough to ruin the overall experience here, especially considering we are talking about a brand new title here. With that said though, FSR 2.0 set to the performance preset can look pretty rough in certain situations, especially in high speed situations. Things at a distance can really start to look really blurry, though this is one of the better implementations where it doesn't look anywhere near as bad as other implementations of FSR, specifically older versions of FSR, where setting things at the performance preset can look really brutal. I would say that it pretty much borders on the edge of being a completely rock solid experience, and in general, if you're used to playing games at 30 FPS, I think you're going to struggle to really notice a difference between this and if our 1% lows were at a locked 30. But if you're not interested in using FSR because personally you don't like the way it makes the game look, we can always enable dynamic resolution scaling instead. Now you could set a target of either 60 or 30 Hertz, and I would recommend going with 60 just because if you go with 30, it will bring the 1% lows to far noticeably below 30. A lot of the times being in the very low 20s. Now your 1% lows are still going to go underneath 30 if you go with the 60 Hertz option, but it tries its best to stay as close to 30 as possible for the 1% lows, and it pretty much ends up giving an overall performance that is very similar to FSR 2.0, but it does look different. In a lot of situations it can actually end up looking clearer, though both need to sacrifice a lot in terms of resolution just to get this level of performance, so neither is really going to be the most ideal situation. And I think with the implementation of FSR in this game, it really just comes down to your personal preference. I would recommend that you try out both and see which one, visually speaking, looks the best to you. I think me personally, I would probably just use the dynamic resolution scaling, but FSR didn't look so bad that I would recommend not using it. It really just comes down to your personal preference. In both situations though, you need to be comfortable with essentially a 30 FPS average for playing a game like this, and I can completely understand if a racing game not being able to hit 60 is a deal breaker to you, but I did find it playable enough, and I think that if you're someone that's used to playing games on integrated graphics, getting this level of performance is not going to be the worst thing for you, and you're going to have a very good time. Just turn off the FPS counter and just play the game. You don't really need to be looking at every single performance metric just to see how things are actually running. Just play the game and actually have a good time. But anyways, I hope you found this quick look at Need for Speed Unbound to be useful or entertaining. If you did, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.